Welcome back to NewsNation Prime. As we're continuing to monitor the breaking news tonight, former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. Biden's office saying the president and his family are talking with doctors about treatment options, though the cancer has already spread to the bones. For more, we are joined by NewsNation's Leland Vittert, NewsNation chief Washington anchor, host of On Balance with Leland Vittert, weeknights right here on NewsNation. Leland, thank you so much for being here, and I want to get your immediate reaction to this news today.
Well, obviously, with anyone, you think about the president's family and wish him well. That's sort of been the general feeling in terms of reaction. I think the things that were said in that release are so very important because doctors I talk to say that the concept that someone with the level of medical care that the president of the United States receives and the incredible scrutiny and focus on his health that exists, and at the same time, as you put up on the screen, a Gleason score of 9, group 5 with metastasis to the bone. That's something that takes years to happen in the body. It is normally prostate cancer is caught very early. There is going to be an enormous amount of focus, as there has been on the president's health and what was known about President Biden's health when he was in office. That is going to be magnified 5 or 10-fold starting tomorrow morning with questions of what did doctors know, when did they know it, what did the First Lady know, when did she know it, and what did Kamala Harris know, and when did she know it? And was this a case of sort of gross medical malpractice by the White House doctors to miss this? Or is this a case of the American public not being told something that would be very material?
You bring up such a large point tonight, and we just spoke about this with renowned urologist Dr. David Schusterman on the show, who said that this kind of aggressive cancer with a Gleason score of 9 takes 5 to 10 years to develop in his experience. He says only a man who is medically neglected wouldn't know about it. This is one of the least medically neglected men in the world. Leland, we did not get a PSA score on his health reports. We didn't get them on Trump's either, to be fair. What does it mean if this wasn't a new or sudden surprise diagnosis?
Well, look, it's very clear that there was a concerted effort by the White House and by many in the media to cover up, ignore, gloss over, whatever words you want to use, the very clear decline in President Biden's health. I think the question would be mental health, that is. I think there's a question of, was the White House so touchy about questions about his health, and did they lash out so much because they knew about this? And they worried that a real look into by reporters of President Biden's health would expose not only the issues of his mental acuity that had become so apparent and we're now getting so much reporting on, but also this diagnosis and what treatments he may or may not have been receiving. You'll note that this release is by choice. This man is not president of the United States anymore. Why do they release this on a Sunday in the afternoon? It comes 2 days ahead of the book that comes out, Original Sin by Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper, that is supposed to lay out the cover-up of his mental health. Is this a way to try to garner sympathy for the former president? Is this a way to try to distract the conversation and change it? What exactly are the motivations here? We know the president has hired a team to try and quote unquote rehabilitate his image now that he's out of office. Why does this release come on a Sunday when on Friday the famous tapes, the audio tapes of his then questioning by the special counsel Robert Hur over the classified documents that President Biden had kept get released? That tape was damning to his mental acuity. And as forgetful, clearly not in control and command of facts in the way you would want a world leader and the leader of the free world to be. So this is the very beginning. And for whatever focus was going to be on Joe Biden's health on Monday and Tuesday, as this week has happened, this is now going to compound 5 or 10-fold.
Okay, so I do want to play sound from Karine Jean-Pierre answering a question about President Biden's White House physical last year. Let's take a listen.
If it's not in the medical report, obviously it's not something that the president is dealing with. Well, I can tell you this. Just going back to Parkinson's for a little bit, so to give you some answers here, has the president been treated for Parkinson's? No. Is he being treated for Parkinson's? No, he's not. Is he taking medication for Parkinson's? No. So those are the things that I can give you full-blown answers on, but I'm not going to confirm a specialist, any specialist that comes to the White House out of privacy.
What does this say, knowing today's news?
Well, in Washington, it's never the crime, it's the cover-up. It's what did people know and when did they know it? And I can't sort of express, I think, the severity and the depth of what is about to transpire over the next week or two about Joe Biden. And there is going to be Democrats, every Democrat, asked about this. Would they have all known about the cancer diagnosis? No. But they were all complicit and aggressive in the cover-up of Joe Biden's health. We know that, especially the Democrats who spent the most time around him, people like Chuck Schumer, people like Nancy Pelosi, people who want to run for president like Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg. So this going forward is going to dominate the news conversation for Democrats. In politics, it's not so much what's happening to you sometimes, it's what's happening to your opponents. So when there is a focus on Democrats and a reminder to the American people of Joe Biden's health and then new information about a potential cover-up juxtaposed to Donald Trump, that means it's a good couple of weeks coming up for Donald Trump.
Leland, is there a strict obligation for presidents to disclose major health issues? Because FDR and JFK, for example, both concealed health issues.
Absolutely. That was done in the past, and it was seen as terrible and awful and a complete breach of the public trust. And I pulled up the memo that was released by the president's doctor. And these words are going to now be parsed word for word for word. The president feels well. This year's physical identified no new concerns. So this may have been written more by lawyers than by doctors. He continues to be fit for duty and fully executes all of his responsibilities without any exemptions or accommodations. It doesn't say what he doesn't have. And I think that is going to be an enormous focus of just how this was done. And I think for Democrats and for the media who hold Donald Trump to a sort of extraordinary standard that we have not seen before, the response from Republicans in the Trump White House is, wait a second, Joe Biden covered up a cancer diagnosis, if that is indeed what happened. And Joe Biden covered up vast mental health declines over 4 years for the president. And you're complaining to us about X. So for as much as Joe Biden sort of disdained Donald Trump and hoped that he would be the person to move America past Donald Trump, you're going to be in a situation where Joe Biden and his family and his White House have given Republicans the best talking point they could have for the next 4 years.
Wow. All right. Leland Vittert, a host of On Balance, will be watching this week. This is probably not the week you expected ahead. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome to 2025.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.